In my previous life, my best friend found a system that allowed her to temporarily swap memories with others. As the college entrance exam approached, she urged me to study hard while secretly mocking me with smug satisfaction. After the exam, while celebrating her high score, she exchanged rewards with the system to completely erase me. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day she bound the system. I know she wants to use the knowledge in my mind to get into a prestigious university during the college entrance exam while pushing me into the abyss, but I had already been admitted to Tsinghua University. And for the past few months my mind has been filled with nothing but handsome guys and money. Everything else has long been forgotten. If you want to blame anyone, blame yourself for being too foolish to notice the problem all these times. This was the last sentence I heard before I died. And when I opened my eyes again, I had returned to my senior year of high school. Cold sweat broke out on my forehead and I instinctively looked around. The chatter of my classmates and the warring sound of the fan reminded me of everything. I was reborn. Olivia, are you feeling unwell? A hand waved back and forth in front of me. Only then did I focus my gaze and follow the arm to look at the person who had caused my death in my previous life. My future bestie, Lena. Lena grinned and reached out to pinch my face, but I slapped her hand away. The force was so strong that it drew the attention of the surrounding classmates. What's wrong? Did I pinch you too hard? Sorry. Lena clasped her hands together and smiled ingratiatingly in front of me, her radiant smile gradually overlapping with the ugly face that had just ordered the system to eliminate me. At this moment I was absolutely certain Lena didn't suddenly turn bad. She had just been hiding it well all along. Olivia, your face was terrifyingly pale just now. It's such a relief to see you're okay. Yes, that's really great. I said these words while staring intently at Lena. That's really great. Congratulations on killing my kindness and compassion for you, leaving only ruthless targeting and suppression. Reborn once, I want you to spend a lifetime of suffering to apologize to my past self and my parents. Seeing my agreement, Lena seemed to let down her guard and deliberately placed her already worn-out backpack on my desk in front of me. I noticed the loquats at home were about to ripen, so I checked on them every day. Finally, they were ready to eat these past couple of days. So I woke up early to pick them for you, looking at the half-ripe, half-unripe loquats before me. My heart was filled with irony. In her previous life, Lena was extremely skilled at manipulating people. She first deliberately revealed to me that her parents favored sons over daughters, and then on my birthday she went out early in the morning to pick loquats from the tree for me. What did she say at the time? Oh, with scratches on her face, she wished me a happy birthday. Olivia, I don't have any money since I was little. This has been the only snack I've ever had. It's just too humble. I hope you don't mind. Seeing her wearing a faded school uniform and carrying a worn-out backpack, I was deeply moved. Even though I was allergic to loquats, I still reached out and accepted them, thanking her warmly. I then turned to my parents and suggested that we sponsor Lena's education. After all, the company allocates special funds every year to support underprivileged students. If we can help her at this critical moment, she might be able to carve out a life of her own. My parents had always indulged me since I was a child, so how could they refuse when I pleaded on her behalf to avoid taking away the spots of the children who were originally sponsored? All of Lena's expenses were covered by my parents from their own pockets, but at that time, I didn't know that this action would soon bring me a devastating disaster. Some people are simply not worthy of sympathy. Their malice matches their suffering. As Lena moved from the dormitory into my home and we spent more time together, my academic performance suddenly began to fluctuate dramatically. No matter how familiar I was with the questions during practice, as soon as I entered the exam hall, they turned into incomprehensible texts. One exam doesn't matter, but the subsequent string of poor results made my classmates look at me with strange expressions. Strangely, while my grades were plummeting, Lena's scores soared like a roller coaster, quickly climbing to the position that originally belonged to me. Lena's scores on regular practice tests were still low, but she claimed she already knew all the material and didn't need to waste time on basic questions. Nevertheless, she thoughtfully bought me many practice papers for my usual review, encouraging me that as long as I worked hard, I would surely be rewarded. But that year, under immense psychological pressure, I scored an unprecedented low on the college entrance exam, not to mention university. I didn't even qualify for a junior college. Lena, on the other hand, was admitted to the nation's top prestigious university. My parents, afraid that I might be too overwhelmed and do something drastic, asked Lena to take me on a trip to relax. Little did they know that would be the last time they saw me alive. Lena used the excuse of the fresh air in the forest to take me to a secluded mountaintop. There was no cell phone signal even on the cliff. But just as I wanted to go back, Lena took out a hammer she had prepared in advance and knocked me down. She stepped on my abdomen with a mocking tone, continuously applying pressure. I never expected your parents to care about you so much. Even though you performed so poorly in your exams, I struggled to grab her ankle, trying to call for help. But she grabbed my hair and smashed my head against the rocks dozens of times. I felt something pierce my eyeball, the sharp stones grinding against it, causing excruciating pain. And I quickly lost my vision. You see, if you don't die, how will your parents obediently hand over the company to me as the next heir? Tisk, tusk, tusk, what kind of look is that? Don't blame me. After all, wasn't it you who brought me into your home in the first place? Blame yourself for pretending to be generous and naive when you're already a winner in life. Do I need your charity? Everything I want I will get my hands on. Enough, I'm tired of all this talking. System, I want to claim my reward and eliminate Olivia. System has received the host's command. Reward exchange for the college entrance exam. Successful, elimination method, suffocation, instantly. My lungs were compressed painfully, and in extreme fear and regret, I lost consciousness. It was only at this moment that I realized the fluctuating scores all along were Lena's doing. She used the system to exchange memories with me, which is why every time I saw the exam paper, I couldn't answer a single question. I snapped back to reality and glanced at the loquat in Lena's hand, forcing a polite smile onto my face. I'm sorry, I'm naturally allergic to loquats. Please keep them away from me. Now I know her true intentions. Playing with her is no different from playing with a dog. In this life she is only fit to be a stranger to me. Lena's hand holding the loquat froze in place. A mischievous classmate in the class whistled. No way, Lena. These loquats look so sour. How could you even think of giving them to Olivia? She probably has never seen such a sour version in her life. Did you just pick them from some random green belt? Tears welled up in Lena's eyes, prompting another round of jeers from the boys across from her. Oh my, what are you getting all upset about? You didn't even bother to find out her basic preferences before giving her a birthday gift. It's obvious you're not sincere. I just wanted to be friends with Olivia. You scared me to death. If this is how you treat friends, it's really something. You keep putting on that pitiful act with those worthless tears, making it look like someone has done something terrible to you. Hearing this, I raised an eyebrow. In my previous life, aside from attending classes, I didn't interact much with my classmates. Lena always told me they were bad people at heart. It turns out I had already seen through Lena's facade this early on. How could I have been so blind not to notice such an obvious sign? I didn't get involved in the argument and simply packed my bag and left. Lena quickly caught up as I walked away. Olivia, wait up. I have something to tell you, then go ahead and say it. Lena stamped her foot, glancing at the parents and students bustling around. It's really important. Can we talk somewhere else? I refused. My driver is already waiting for me outside. I don't have time. Lena, seeing that I had no intention of compromising, finally spoke up. I heard from the teacher that your family has a special poverty alleviation program. Can you let me join too? My parents favor boys over girls. I usually don't even dare to go home, and the people in the dormitory bully me because I'm poor. I really don't know what to do. With every word she said, she followed me step by step, haunting me like a persistent monk. It wasn't until I got into the car and slammed the door shut that she seemed to snap out of it and stared at me. You're following me because you want to go home with me, aren't you? If I remember correctly, you're a boarding student, right? I pointed toward the school gate. The principal is already watching you over there. If you don't head back now, you'll miss the dormitory lights out. Have you agreed to my request? She clung to my car door, refusing to let go. Her brows furrowed tightly, looking as though she wouldn't let me leave unless I agreed. I never knew you could ask for a favor like that. I then smiled lightly and said, all right, I understand. I'll mention it to my parents. Lena finally stopped crying and smiled. But just then the sound of the iron gate slamming shut echoed from behind, surprised. Lena turned around and saw the grade-level teacher starting to lock the gate. At that moment she had no time to keep talking to me and immediately rushed to the iron gate to beg the teacher for mercy, and I instructed the driver to take me home. Miss, the master and mistress are not at home these 2 days. Do you need me to relay a message for you? A message? What message? Amused, I propped my chin on my hand and met the driver's gaze in the rear-view mirror. Do I have to satisfy the desires of every beggar who asks me for money. I just agreed to mention it for her, but I didn't say when. How about we wait until the day she dies? We can spend some money to buy her a big wreath. Would that finally satisfy her? The next day was the monthly exam, and Lena, who ranked near the bottom, was seated quite far from me. I could see that half of the content on the exam paper was familiar to me and the other half was not. I immediately guessed that Lena's system had its constraints, and one of them was probably that she had to stay with me at all times. To test this theory, I deliberately skipped the afternoon exam. When Lena saw me coming out of the infirmary during evening self-study, her anger was clearly rising. "Olivia, why didn't you tell me you weren't going to the exam? I've already asked the teacher for leave. My stomach is a bit upset. Students often have minor ailments like headaches or fevers. Can't you just tough it out? What if you feel unwell on the day of the college entrance exam? Will you ask for leave and miss it then?" I counted to 3 silently in my heart, then turned around. Lena bumped into me and fell to the ground, looking up at me in a daze. "Lena, aren't you meddling too much?" Lena's face instantly turned as red as a pig's liver. "Whether I take time off for feeling unwell is my own business. My parents also want me to take good care of my health. How did it become about prioritizing exams when it comes from your mouth? Although this might sound a bit rude, but who are you?" Lena clenched her fists under her skirt, barely containing her anger, but I knew she didn't dare to break with me openly just yet. Otherwise, if the system failed, she would be the one to suffer. I tilted my head and lightly crouched down. "The most important point is never compare yourself to me. The one who needs to rely on academic qualifications to change their fate isn't me. It's you." The school worked quickly. With midterm exams approaching, the grading of the test papers was completed in less than a day. My score was in the middle range, a far cry from my previous consistent first place, an unimaginably low score. I took a deep breath as I watched someone else's name take the top spot that was once mine. But you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. These usual grades don't matter. The final college entrance exam is the real conclusion. But I put all these accounts on Lena's head. The teacher announced the scores from highest to lowest. When Lena's name was called, the homeroom teacher sagging face tightened instantly in anger. Some of our classmates have learned the story of Dong Shi imitating Zai quite well, seeing others hand in blank papers. You follow suit and do the same, right? Lena, stand up right now. The homeroom teacher slammed the cup forcefully onto the desk. Olivia wasn't feeling well and didn't participate in the second half, yet her score is still in the middle range. You're just like the others, turning in a blank exam. It only makes your already abysmal grades even worse when the teacher from the next class asked about it. I didn't even dare say you're a student from our class with an attitude like that. You think you can apply for a scholarship? You're just daydreaming. Who said I was applying for a scholarship? Lena stood up in a fluster to argue back, only to see the homeroom teacher holding up a thin application form. She hurriedly ran up to the podium and snatched the application form from the homeroom teacher's hand. An intense sense of inferiority enveloped Lena, and she guiltily crumpled the form in her hand into a ball. She suddenly looked up and stared at me. "It was you, wasn't it? You did this, didn't you?" I frowned slightly, my expression helpless. "Didn't you tell me yesterday that you wanted to apply for financial aid? But the company said your grades were too poor to qualify, so I specifically asked the homeroom teacher to apply for a scholarship for you. You're just deliberately messing with me. Who wants your fake sympathy?" Lena tore the paper in her hand to shreds. And while the homeroom teacher wasn't paying attention, she immediately pushed her aside and ran out of the classroom. The classmates in the class were whispering among themselves, occasionally glancing at me. "This Lena is so ungrateful. She was the one who said her family favors boys over girls and that they have no money. Why is she upset when someone helped her submit the application form? Why does she cry so easily? It's like we're bullying her." Listening to the whole class criticize Lena, I quickly sent her report card to her parents' phone under the desk. Now it's time to watch the show. On the day of the midterm exam, Lena forcefully took the seat behind me in order to use the system smoothly. I calmly and leisurely recited vocabulary words to myself, pretending not to see. Lena behind me was practically trying to bore a hole through me with her gaze. She muttered under her breath, "This time, I'm going to make sure you all get proven wrong." Whether we were proven wrong or not is unknown, but her face really got slapped, almost to the point of being completely disgraced. Lena's parents received the text message and furious took the bus to the school, cursing all the way from the school gate up to the teaching building. They sped along, their language heavily laced with profanity. The exam had just begun when a wildly dressed woman suddenly burst into the classroom, grabbed Lena by the ear and slapped her twice. The students screamed in fright, and the homeroom teacher, hearing the commotion, came and escorted them to the office during the lunch break. I deliberately swung by the office to take a look. They still hadn't let Lena off the hook. Her mother, a genuine countrywoman, had a strong hand with her sun-turned arms swinging forcefully. It didn't take many slaps before Lena's face swelled up like a steamed bun. She hit her while cursing, "You little wretch. I worked so hard. Farming to put you through school, and this is how you repay me. Your total scores don't even add up to one of their subjects, and you still have the nerve to keep asking for money from home. I should have drowned you right after you were born." To save us from this shame, the man also stood by and added a couple more kicks. "I've always said, girls are useless, don't let her go to school, it's a waste of money. Now she's got the nerve to lie and deceive people." Homeroom teacher couldn't bear it and tried to help Lena up, which only made the two even angrier. "Teacher, you don't know. At home she always makes excuses to avoid doing any work, and at such a young age she already dares to steal money from my wallet. When her little brother was born, she dropped him and gave him a big bump on the head. I was scared to death at the time." The woman with her remarkably burly physique was crying pitifully, which made people feel a chill. "If anything happens to my son, I won't be able to go on living." "That's right, teacher, just let me take her back home. After all, whether a girl studies or not, she'll still get married." Lena was so frightened that she repeatedly cooed out to the homeroom teacher, completely devoid of the pretentiousness she had shown earlier in the classroom. "Teacher, please help me. If I go back, I'll die. I beg you, I promise I'll study hard from now on." The man immediately pulled out his belt and started whipping him. "You're my damn son, I decide everything. How dare you disobey me?" After saying that, he furrowed his brows, his face contorting into a hideous expression. I composed myself and didn't continue watching. It turns out that in my previous life, the calamity I helped Lena overcome was of this nature. Ever since my parents took her in, they have cared for her with the utmost affection. Seeing how well we got along, they even ensured she had the same standard of living as I did. From food and clothing to daily necessities. My father even planned for her future career and would always bring back 2 gifts whenever he went on a business trip. Yet Lena remained unsatisfied, coveting things that did not belong to her. And what I did was to feed the ambition of an ungrateful wolf. After the meal, everyone was preparing for the afternoon exam, and I was no exception. After reviewing all the key points one more time, I took my stationery and calmly entered the exam mindset. By the time our exam was completely over, and the sky was growing dark, Lena still hadn't shown up again. Just as I was packing up my stationery after the exam, a girl nearby suddenly waved her hand, and a few curious people immediately gathered around her. I just had my period and had a stomach ache, so I went to the infirmary to get some painkillers. Guess who I saw? I actually saw Lena. Seriously, what's so surprising about that? Surprising? It's actually very surprising. Do you know what she looks like now? The girl excitedly gestured with her hands. Oh my, it looked terrifying. Both of her eyelids were swollen and bruised, leaving only a slit for her to squint through. When I got there, the school nurse was still bandaging her up. Her body was covered in bruises from being whipped with a leather strap. Who would dare do something like this? Who would hit someone at school? Who else could it be? Her parents, of course. No way, just because she did poorly on an exam. She gets a brutal beating. I often rank at the bottom too, but my mom never did anything like that to me. The girl shook her head with a look that said, "You just don't get it," and clicked her tongue. "You don't understand. I heard she has a younger brother at home. Her parents never agreed to let her study here in the first place. It was only because she kept insisting she was the top student in her grade that they reluctantly allowed her to come." Top student, Maury like the bottom of the class. Exactly. Her parents wanted to pull her out of school today and take her back home to get married early, but Lena refused. Her dad ended up whipping her with a leather belt until she passed out. Why wasn't she taken to the hospital then? Her parents thought it was shameful, and after they finished hitting her, they said they had no money to treat her and just left. Before going home, I took a detour to the infirmary, where Lena was sobbing while applying medicine. Half of her hair had been pulled out, and the corner of her mouth was swollen as if strung by a bee. The hydrogen peroxide in the infirmary pressed against her wounds made her twitch in pain on the spot. Lena's parents are now a nightmare she can never escape. I paused at the door for a moment, then turned and left. After all, someone like her deserves to experience the life he was originally meant to have, doesn't she? Lena spent a full week recuperating if she went out with that face. Horror movies would specifically invite her to star in them. During her convalescence, the homeroom teacher found me with an excited expression, spreading out my exam papers, which clearly showed several perfect scores. "Olivia, you really need to step it up this time. Your midterm exam was a joint assessment with several nearby universities, and you ranked first overall according to the rules. The top 3 students in our city can participate in the Math Olympiad. If you win an award, you'll secure a spot for admission to Tsinghua or Peng University. The teacher has already filled out the forms for you. Just focus on reviewing these next couple of days." I quickly nodded, looking at the thick stack of materials in my hand and silently making a resolution. This time I must take back everything that rightfully belongs to me. On the day the Olympiad ended, Lena limped back into the classroom. At this moment she didn't seem as spirited as she was a week ago. Whenever she saw her classmates yawning or raising their hands to stretch, she would instinctively cover her head and tremble in fear. In her eyes, I am now her only lifeline, thanks to her being beaten. Half to death, Lena's parents temporarily agreed that after the college entrance exams, they would decide whether she could continue her education based on her scores. If you do well in the exam, the house will be filled with the sound of firecrackers, and a feast will be held to celebrate. If you don't do well, you'll be dressed up and married off, becoming a living savings account for your brother's bride price. Lena made pleasing me her top priority, but when she showed kindness to me, I unusually did not refuse, reigniting hope in her eyes. What she didn't know was that I had won second place in the Math Olympiad and had already secured a direct admission to Tsinghua or Peng University. The college entrance exam she was hopping would turn her life around was nothing but a dead end for me, having secured the direct admission to Tsinghua or Peng University. In principle, there was no need for me to continue attending classes at school. But to keep Lena in the dark, I still showed up on time every day. Every day I would assign her to buy takeout for me under the scorching sun. It took her an hour to make the round trip. To get back on time, she had to go hungry and continue with her classes right after buying the food. Last time the homeroom teacher pleaded on her behalf. The condition was that she was not allowed to skip class. If she violated it, the teacher would call again. Whenever she showed a pained expression, would tactlessly ask, "Are you feeling unwell?" "Somewhere, you don't have to go if you don't want to." Lena saw that the duck she was about to eat was about to grow wings and fly away. Even if she was extremely reluctant and gritting her teeth, she could only force a smile and reply, "No, I'm happy to run errands for you. We're friends after all." I patted her on the shoulder and said, "You're right. I was going to give you some money for running errands, but since we're friends, I can't give you money. I don't want you to think I don't see you as a friend." Lena was so angry she felt like spitting blood. The monthly exam arrived as scheduled, and Lena still unreasonably occupied the seat behind me, writing rapidly under the system's influence. Throughout several consecutive exams, Lena rode as if flying, even completing and submitting her English paper swiftly. A subject in which she usually only scored between 20 and 30 points, just as the classmates thought she had given up again. The results the next day left everyone astonished. Lena's name was prominently written at the top of the grade ranking list. Seeing her name, she breathed a sigh of relief and glanced triumphantly at everyone in the classroom. "I told you so. Don't look down on people. No matter how good your grades are, I can still overtake you in no time, right?" The homeroom teacher was also shocked by the results and specifically brought the test paper to ask her about the problem-solving steps. Lena nodded in front of everyone. "Sure, isn't that simple?" But just as she sat down to write, I suddenly stood up and walked out. Lena panicked and quickly called out to stop me. "Where are you going?" I was puzzled. "I'm just going to the restroom." "Of course you take your exam. My going to the restroom doesn't bother you. Can't you write without me here?" Lena sat back in her seat with a grim expression. I wandered around downstairs for a while, bought a novel and returned to the classroom just in time. At that moment, Lena was accused of cheating by the homeroom teacher for failing to explain the problem-solving steps. She pounded the table and yelled, "I told you I didn't cheat. I didn't cheat at all. If you have the guts, show me the evidence." Thanks to Lena's relentless shouting, she earned herself a 5,000-word self-criticism essay to be read aloud at the Monday criticism assembly. Lena was not convinced, but the homeroom teacher's casual remark scared her into silence. "What do you want me to notify your parents?" Lena immediately quieted down like a frostbitten eggplant. By the afternoon, the entire floor had spread the news that Lena from Class 1, Grade 12, had somehow obtained the answers to the 9-school joint exam. She was nothing but a cheating dog who relied on hacks. I stroked my chin. In a way, that statement was completely correct. having learned from the last experience. Lena didn't dare to fill in all the answers during the exam and only symbolically completed a portion of the questions, so when she encountered questions she didn't know, she didn't even notice anything unusual. As the top student in the grade, I was indeed unsure about the advanced questions, but in theory, I shouldn't have made mistakes on the easier ones. I'm spending all my time now watching the market trends, preparing to start a foreign trade business through family connections after the college entrance exams. Just a little more time, and I believe the deeply ingrained information in my mind will mostly fade away. So, the whole grade enjoyed another good show. Lena's scores rose rapidly from the initial 200+ points, with each increase of about 100 points. The class atmosphere gradually shifted as well. Many who didn't know the truth thought Lena had made up her mind to study seriously. Little did they know, with the help of her system cheat, every day after returning to the dormitory, she would just play with cosmetics and read novels. Whenever a classmate asked her for help, she would put on a condescending attitude and refuse with a look of disdain. Learning is all about talent. If your grades aren't improving, you might as well stop struggling and just settle for what you have. Not everyone is as lucky as I am, suddenly having a breakthrough in their studies. To be honest, those who don't do well in the college entrance exam just have a poor mindset. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of worry with my score. Getting into a top university is a piece of cake, isn't it? Time flies. And a month later, the college entrance exam. Admission tickets were distributed on time. Lena held her ticket tightly in her hand, her eyes gleaming with excitement. I couldn't help but chuckle behind her. I wonder if she'll still be able to laugh when she sees her exam results. On the day of the college entrance exam, the teacher wore a red cheongsam to see the students off. Lena was bored playing with her phone on the side. Someone kindly reminded her to review the key points again, but she sneered. Only those like you who can't improve their grades need to keep reviewing. Do you really think I rely on last-minute cramming like you? It wasn't until she entered the exam hall that she realized something was wrong. Although I had obtained a recommendation for admission, I did not give up on the college entrance exam. So I followed all the procedures just like a regular exam taker, normally registering for information and receiving my admission ticket. Before the exam, Lena specifically confirmed that she and I were in the same classroom, but when the exam started, there was no one at my seat for a long time. Lena grew anxious and raised her hands several times, wanting to go out and look for me. However, the proctor warned her that if she continued to disrupt others during the exam, she would receive a demerit. So after finishing the first exam, Lena, drenched in sweat, started frantically sending me messages. Olivia, why didn't you come to the exam? Something as important as the college entrance exam. Won't your parents be heartbroken and disappointed if you don't take it? Tell me where you are. I'll come find you. Answer the phone. But no matter how many messages she sent or how many calls she made, I wouldn't see them because I had already boarded a flight to Sonia the night before the college entrance exam began. I needed to scout the path for my business in advance and lay the foundation. While Lena was frantically trying to reach me, I was catching up on sleep at the hotel. The 3 days of the college entrance exam turned into a tremendous ordeal for Lena. On the last day, she finally faced the grim reality in despair. I hadn't taken the college entrance exam and she couldn't use the system to swap scores with me. Just before the final exam, her hands trembling, she kept calling me over and over. A classmate passing by asked in confusion, "Why are you contacting Olivia? She was already admitted to Tsinghua or Peiying University through early admission and won't be taking the college entrance exam." Lena felt as if she had been plunged into an ice cellar. Her phone fell from her hand and shattered into pieces. Just like her future life, the bell rang, marking the end of the 3-day college entrance exams. Lena, her face as pale as a ghost, rushed out the door and saw me standing by her. Floppy, you literally came from Dylan. All knows says tomorrow here. I'm sat the village thing, and you in all west. So this passion is no from traffic across. Doesn't between what? Faggy, come to bunch of you let. Level, I'm rock, ring do a lot of exam, and who knows at the time I say, officer, not even listen, no beds, no yokes, have the two from being ourselves, you never in it, or don't. Pun is able to see myself, catching hand back, fail a woman ring here. She's her feet, her you little. She found this and got her new time and hard up train beard, her who's a tainer. Dated will familiar upon the half on Sam did, plot air to and crucian and question, and those set me lay, fees need clean, egg in the hand did a go. in have a box shmagame was she will or she quit or handling feeling that it may she know that rigidity was stuck in drinks and touched to pen on the will peak. No, it's one didn't be any other cure wound in the village. Exists a drill map or room the putting seen a leash and be a pull of examination but 2 feet a search and get to a hazel tickle case. Oh, they 2 dream here yes thou and bro outpost the Virginia hatch as force horn shoes and so history named to for be the chance either her could follow and just over more I just not happy to the they said her life short figures oh it is the talent been the one that treasure make me storm in the general office never get to hear detail will be seen for cities about Instagram this whole there in there it I was oh I do let asking what fun steam months all the lived in here could all ain't in them life joy hairs I also do to English I think it so on the trip one man I see that story and when I put a look for it's the set because much can be different than your these did read of her tatting off the red gisela there aren't conclusions did it you stay here just only quinn if you could edits in a mortifying and strip and I will be say but since I had to believe my digital pens could link like I though they often marry of me that it would know she born what being enough course the sister is here here to not to with she I had to have sat turn in the ten the she see the looked at she would have taken me for jingle belly that giant arm non more if you've never you will not more put when it's until it's like pigs in the fine but in and the cuties see you to touch and lift little last you said no level intelligent breath God is building on did he see her heart when the lady and from SI bar slim see her own face bay my road was further who falling to nothing when breaking out clean the bag her still open but on the corner needs of decent new round to the her force of harvest because I never of IVI my income there is boy left pet asking there stintrels show I have wasn't a lot is seen labeled then hot from the old dealing trick with at only you my I my only partner and I and as a cat it way racing to the towards not Penny Edgement, I see all of night of library and Mebulment. What I work in the story of both 3 Sherman's Costin, net and history, and 2D, Mr. Optimism to the day, so she took fighting river, I can erase where come to, at their line this liberal. I threw away for I'm not to get it left behind, altered from the raw gear, was seen nice to idea loud takes foes, time to sun trade her and brush to do the one when my store are all to handy. I heard her eye, strategy error, this is value had could put ugly ocean, this element without 55 could live hairs, the fact is you start, how about what I and ally process of outfit her, all low press shove. How more, people increase the whether the matter, Zoe my friends going out to foes lying, was I a dread, and down gone in the V Harris, Simon Bounce cause I hit man, critics sat, digger, for you to the top, to foes and catch them along the then shad land comedy on site with red helms, then it when a trim heel himself dear, of course, about his horns, even narrow the not dimension, my stores the abstract. To Zoe here, how have you upgraded, technically creep high on, stubborn to hens, undated the day close to around, be how to go, feature be lying mad, not terrible all the night, and should deathly neutron. Looking at you train this or you such a day in that just frozen back can I be holding and give us no better have truth my source English and Mac get to our darling told where white at Mr. Lawn was I'm able that will reduce to turn from should have gone be I clear some of the streams and the sin it seems to run get the bike for her not a secret I strut I have what's doing for the shizarot slips own and body black me see though it isn't it ruined me for position but it was her there was nice except for I don't go out here read and with that and jet see read very let your for your head one piece of right may look at the god of the all boom in here I love well better doing really the down the wind line I do to and go unsly usual for now you pen would be booker could probably written no club be a girly art on troll you I go them more Julie and turn more book courses in batch and out and nick bedly I to ounce who's featured in the similar where she did chose the asked to did was a flip so car but then he gets a rough to out in the hush and hung they learned it for me why my help in mine was so awful and then tinker and me and the head out or was in close or far so I killed her I don't to be to her me it was by short and almost but it would over sit out Kabum Hill, Natum from the Tashu can suffer the time, and Brad Chos pay our math snagger filler, who thought Nighton, my shrill paper rain, and what oath was in the old tree upon my brain. A prodiner's me, people been there to troll their idly, houses isn't deep, a stab, from what go ahead, not stead put or red Jenny Love people to have, light of the puniculation art, or down, the blink round go there, what losing foes me, as I see the shack cat head down, needy blink and jeep from Pixon, I see what the sickle head to foe, soul to rot, you don't be what I need to say. Oh, her fussy, this is Rascal is not, Betty Hosey on your sheet, the rot for what, can't experience this, I next made bull, you straight back, if oh, not until, new which times the temper, Getty. The old tide could spun green, good hits of not no in toffee or agent and dumbs in until you those to her. Anyway, not being where she so free of the net real for terry lit, and thought she could tell. Hack one rising eyes though, just out, ran to out. The young and not see her remains until Tony knows. Her future still quick was a suicide headed position quick team to it onto land. Dry down, brave for the 90 potter. They man to Gianjo is versus if Doris. That's this, so Ryan's lifting, but fling him, jumped to me, sitting to rattling away looks her gives to my giftness. Just in mad, prayer you just in foes overall. I got land is the one, or shall king test with Richard. Yes, I was like, would have nice start to allow me as links. Up bother with, her festival, will look at all Schneeger. I don't any away. Just won't more hey nice to tinker and chime won't food do food how matter ne less rare as a can't zip to my hasses on the state heart or break or to turn for actors while the guest ref I remember too need for Harry or let you I can wing on our hotch see flick over to the wash you of the guard between a fifth of first fun for that he's I will chill over heart it's not links from out her watching the notes some more that said I'll produce for what beats real clash bit my heavily in my eyes eaten what beef feed in this is something pot drunk layup but I'm hey problem in me answering a house for her most you stand on red xing worth all the mum to not paradigm to my hey lump with Europe Suggesting red can right, and my eyes, to class and the already on earth red, left, cinder with my trade, as the only quitter, the complete could offer, bat him and has made for us, and as for person could lie, as a turn, the other year, old grab, woman, now could have sat on heap, point rather could get, handed out and have mess on, really legit, and thing, The air has claw one. Siri made the we help take us way back. Harry hang you. I teach back in three slows. Now to hear me. Will deal Ben seven. What feel down and roll. I feel nice. I did Harry. All has been all war into off. Need a 60 load to go different pro. No, I cast note and dash to the mama. Then my tools and the fact. Rips tips and raw. Back in bars hall and was drunk. He uttered. Specific sorry progress it. He for me fasting fail man. See lick on here. Clear under religion while you've been charmed. Jumble get where me finds a bird. Since get or I post paying low. Sniffle her. Cut me back to email. Where breast boots sling the ball. Yins with head take to set effect on it. Really load her. Get it. I load to my heavy forward. To harm for the method. So much scroll easy slow see I'm being nest in it. Then hush and play with her key Austin Johnny. Awful. Just to stay lies around. Shop wounded Skyhill. King says really got on next. Pull out shoulder. Dots facing. I work. Pefon. Hanella. Dot. Hot tea. He over the blackness of back. Dilly off it. And sorrow the star. They with muscle. And she off out in the Pludged. The rocks are done it with devil. Naffy round in command rock. Shots of they say. Rhyme. Reasoning and water. After hot beating to pull. Rose water. I cancer. Got to find. Ski any ostum. Had he would to sell my pack. Vinny teacher. If I was no here. No actual walk. Wrong. And the own point knowing. To gender it. You don't stop us. You jump and be working. Out of 2 30. Should. Because you brought up now drink. Shut off now which could be obvious and all. Tat a wine bullet. Do to want to one round. Half it eyes with clear. Oh you nice. Song to have wet. More leve. Going team top. Rather to bundle. Open of dress. Tire. He's his kind of me. I went to caramel stills. How we my poor particularly my and so I did head to that. In our well. She pushed back there. You turned into that. Do not back up a bleached. Was that it? Delta. Did it leave him scared? How the beam back. Feast of griquet. Bell tunnels. Neated through to end. The parasera. Don't water Jimmy. No take time dinner. Shoot off him and take to me. Say. The high have it. Planted her. Said by over. Buto said that. Case and get. I'm turn see. The brass and pity roham. Kept to the diet of shifts on name. Woe head finally down her brain dead. How had you pull off them jut. I've my charm to my cold Nerless head hurry. When we out of the order to a welcome teenager. I'll down proud of it. Says over to last to fit the city then. She no longer carry got over on hot goes all. For me laugh, shows lot of her glancing for her. She's little kids that took a copy of yours, whether not see yourself. I can't and me. Ed that have guys, just pressure point. The lips shut out the elevator. They got to me. Does in ears. You guys bob for Harry seen her grass leaf. Was this through? Cost put my own. Cornrow reads on how normally. The way it goes, the chest about your audit score. Mtone no tutoring. Lamp and chop. Accusal into. Just see it. I get. If I forget to keep the AOC sheet to top. Over them top feelings. Sorry, I missed. And say I should. Tough hands here. Dungle head and between. Of them sharp. The queen for none of reefed in a thin. The keep their little spin needle. Glue to order on. And I ate there as you get us. No night. Has the headache breath. What the idea in our of the friends of his voice no and go on over the sister lawyer. Usually your eyelids to shrink on their history. In our hand both. Who teaming. The prescription. You thumbs leading you on the lord. And our taste it. You read for the form red and go glowing liquid. One hit perfect. In the water. We are recluse. I was in jiff outfit. She was Henry. And hurt. Parasitum to the me eyes was I face. In their dress hair hooks. Harper hands too quick. Well squeak. It got your only. No one dish again hooks. Wintry hanging on clay. Growing the top. Nerd. Gut shot on hot lining demo. Jonas Fusi at Lene. Pull out the map, but my pack. Looking heavily no sunka. All he vibes. Creep the more neat. Swat it carelessly. My la. Lordy. We trust that similar. Off to my day. Oh, you me. And walk out for after browners. The purchase set to make a with her tacles ready design. Turps middle kill with her at home. How people holding beautiful. Out area. Skita. Fed out. Down that row. Yeah. He's like hadn't oushed. The one on her. He's a nimmy. She would still on this and then lung left. I went out tossing my errors for the done that. Tim. I'm about pointing with it. I could all over mine do. Now you missed you. Niven her. Ring. Stunning. Don't close it. All fat out. Rubbed away to the he catch what and sign intro. I'll show till it right the woodling drop. Hot once. Do you string out Africa? What ring bang fall with the thing? Thigh orderly that. A hunch less trusted. Ding although a flint of roll. Oh gish. They're lying. Need and ross and all. But the Ealing Delocra has enough to a cut one. How the gravel is a bone. Swallowing. And with sit fashion cat arting for. A woodling hot sound hot. What you'd keep the cost it here. Hatch len. All up and want. And through cat brand. Kit building on tick and bait. Muscle as hoisel. Let it here. You did me and grid. See dust plus I hunt the picture. And the interest of the sea. This is the pressure grunch. Canada. This us here weapon my eye. What fall afraid you long shot. So did not cut on. Just team of themselves. I looked in and sing workly. I Joe would. I jumped up to us. You want to listen to me. Shut and through me. Hear me around her. Nuts full of air. Eats stirring by talk isn't it easily. Zay. Should have here. Now deep missing its stem. You did now go red. Oh, Nash with step and then the poor. Vent the. Lungt. Kinnaston art. Titty. See lot home tending a tomb through. It's out. Chintum tech. Something dropped by this batum. Overy wouldn't heard. Rose he say. I creek. Cladalexi. Very close and tips. Day down day and end. And lie paradigm in Jabu. East was the house in those. Art is on red dressing. You told red on. Oh, not heaven. Names big little out. Dares it bay. A is shake. Didn't know hated the Roland David as that. And Hulk, Carol Travel Edge, to me, Nish Fat Beth under her kiss. The lifting shop, cool out, the laser side, cheap and bet silver me. Could them like a little lasting at but the wing out, hang million chest out, big of lid seat. Maves left to make black, only with this. What would you that would interviews? Hurry even ties on, window off. To furl in still with you free again. Ain't idea if no way to go. Rated in line per se, and month and a half of his split sheet. Rob Fennell at the stories all commit Italy, then bling it or. Throughout his lungs to man, these travel treating it, but reassured they would take, deals name break ice, tree, then send it will come the winters. I look in laved, I ain't cause I eating sit, here's some bushel helicon, umbrella at with all back for Ray won't see it trot on told, thorough air of British, strutting air and deal rattling only and I born to be laugh, was a set, I'd set, will tunes, has some bull back. Alec Radial rent to Disney, Bill seemed to all I won't these arctic reverts, cheat cause and no relay, we do, Harold straw, had and rapes tis and hay, oh it's still. Read his host standing, water that ball pity, yes, Raduja, Neddy ran back to back and to man, oh, he's distressed, it to be dreaded, tell me, foul of jar, is knots, deep than that is all way. Ain't a better you bought. He's needed head blocks. He's just sir. You ain't what I tried him on the to the tush. It tumbled gut. Hold the players. You who is on it than you were. one old other that to brave chakwan is essentially a hasil in a large women in each blood from equal out and hurry up and to was I'm now send us near lines is just still it's new found together I didn't wait excel what yeah or got in mind it so did for me so you to cut this world was mad we down to green good like it was your day you guys have a day with see out here low that's command impress ridiculous laying on six help this I want to trigger in revving from rotten phrased I go where my power to write it down and I look at my heart in the size to hold it back fit me Harold and knowing my for the IPI even Tom Joey tasted no riches fit need you come to should you if food sit back if you say would I get them because some end he's all on see how never I would could master that was it hands couple turn of assists they'll go I to you leave to love you don't need so the weird quack which I on raised phone the victor a hardy was over through a single my hopes left oh is just a lecon you wrote litter and the tolly I learned it on lit its friends nice it was in the first no go back down to undead high Hasbro is good I know the instrument but Victor honey I did on him British will listen and warn the hammer found safe for too much case and by so link I am I'm them in his I said with his one berry in hell Kevin instance matters in second on issues mes my mine say on death Chris now succeeds all is feminine dread going I know Lord Cuppy and thrill out in it lead large rest to that was I put other down left or sleep in the sing with ill the thing on beat nights still I neither how we mounted ping realty I just now couldn't leave his nice and could rose amount to it this I hadn't muffin basket to cover there wanted him to moving forwards out badly Borrow raised such to the night diving to the X the till tomtoms would have to more covers and sleep do I continue the found and old in the way rat account I try to my didn't lose I lying down I whole car for people and 20 wall I cry I know was saying bullet thus rat and with Matthews legals you can then bone in the gosh I think hockey to wait posts just keeping new from fused to the smith with the end all that lies the taste in as sure substance vitamin as well something was quite and all the you have watched terrible they mixed by nights yes Tim mother over rail up to inch talking I'm hoping that it be a fair to London they rest in this nitrogen to use for arty fear to your hidden men king will give you the decay air scrum soon